Hey everyone, I'm going to go ahead and make the um, annual review of the teams a two-part video. Hopefully it won't run too terribly long and be like a 15-minute video like last year. So I'm just going to break them up into conferences. I'm going to start today with the Landry conference. Um, so I'm just going to go in reverse order here of based on total rankings of all 12 teams in the league. I'm going to give you your draft grades and my thoughts on your expected finish. I'm also going to go and rank um, each core position group for the teams. Meaning I ranked every team in the league first, second, and third best running backs, quarterbacks, receivers, or whatever, with one honorable mention. Um, I didn't do kickers and defenses because defenses are whatever and kickers are impossible to predict. So, with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to go in reverse order. The team that I thought was the 12th ranked team after the draft, in the one trade that just happened, is Team Hasselhoff. Uh, Gave him a C minus for the draft grade, with an expected finish of 5th. Basically here, he started out with okay keepers, I thought, with Ryan, Foster, and Lynch, but reached for some players a little too high, I think. Some of that was based on need. It's hard when you only have one running back to keep, but just not really sure that Green, Ellis, or Adai, or Lynch are the solutions for number 2 running back, but so we'll see there. The receivers are led by Vincent Jackson, who I like, but Hines Ward is getting older, and James Jones doesn't really impress me a whole lot. So we'll see how this team goes. Next would be the 10th overall ranked team, meaning the 11th ranked team, of course, would be in the Lombardi division. I'm going to go with Wetwork here. Gave them a C minus with an expected finish of 6th in that conference. I do have him ranked with the 3rd best quarterback tandem with Brady and Sanchez, and also honorable mention with Dallas Clark at tight end. However, I really think the Dallas Clark pick was a big time reach because he already had Brandon Pettigrew as a keeper, who I think was a viable tight end option. Not the greatest, but not the worst. And that could have been used on a running back or for a wide receiver. So I felt that pick was a pretty poor pick and really hurt his team. Jonathan Stewart starting at running back for him, and I'm not sure that's the best thing in the world, although I do think he'll bounce back a little bit from what he was last year. A lot of this situation here with his team is just because he inherited a team that didn't have a viable running back option for a keeper, and I think that's going to be a huge mistake for any team to ever not have a running back keeper. I said it last year and I stand by it. So that means he had to reach for some guys like Jonathan Stewart. I guess that wasn't really a reach, he got good value there, but I'm not comfortable with him as a second running back. So next will be Gridiron, who I thought was the 9th ranked team overall, and that's just because of question marks. This is a team that does have potential. I actually gave him a B plus on his draft. I thought he drafted pretty well, but again, it was a product of not having a stable key running back keeper. Kept Peyton Manning when he could have traded for Phillip Rivers in the offseason, and I thought that was a mistake as well. Not even sure if Manning's going to start the season, so that's a little bit of a question mark there. Although, of course, if he does play, he'll be his dominant beast self. The running backs definitely question mark with Benson and Blount. I guess I'm just used to saying Blount County in Tennessee. It's actually Blount, but whatever. I'm not sure that's the best running backs to go with to start your season. I do like his receivers a lot. I actually gave him the best receivers in the entire league. He goes with Roddy White, Mike Wallace, and Mario Manningham, especially with the departure of Steve Smith. And Another thing that could help Manningham is the loss of the cornerbacks to that defense, that they may have to pass considerably more than they want to. I don't know. We'll see. But I like them a lot. And when you have Colston on your bench, that's a nice luxury to have. So, expect to finish as 4th. Next up I have is the 5th overall team, is Team Acme. I actually gave him an A on his draft, though. I thought it was a very solid draft, and expect to finish 3rd. He did have 2 running backs to go with as keepers, and you can't disagree with Hillis as a tier 3. But I do think the combination of Jones, Drew, and Hillis is a potential injury risk waiting to happen. Fortunately, he was very good with his drafting and got Chris Wells and Daniel Thomas on the reserves for his running back, and I think that'll bode really well for him. He also was smart and got Montario Hardesty to back up Hillis in case Hillis does get hurt. So I think he drafted extremely well. Greg Jennings anchors this wide receiver core. He's got a couple question marks there in the receivers with Braden Edwards and Mike Thomas. So I don't think his receivers are all that great. I gave him the 3rd ranked tight end in Jason Witten, Tennessee alum. So that's kind of the outlook for Dan's team. It's really going to come down to his receivers. Overall ranking of 5th is really more a testament to how good the teams are in front of him, as opposed to him being in the middle of the pack team. I just think there's some teams that are better. Moving on, we have the newcomer Miami G-Men. I gave him an A- for his draft grade and expected to finish of 2nd in this conference. I gave Roddy the 3rd ranked receivers, which is a pretty stout receiving core, though, with Reggie Wayne, Brandon Marshall, and Santonio Holmes. He has no depth there, really. I don't care about Bester Floyd at all. Adrian Peterson's obviously a monster, and he has a trio of quarterbacks, although I think Eli Manning will be just fine. Felix Jones is a little question mark there. I mean, you don't draft DeMarco Murray because you want to give Felix Jones 20 touches a game, so it's a little question mark, although I will say that I do think Felix Jones has the potential to be a top running back if he gets the chance, but I just don't think he'll get the carries. So expect to finish 2nd for newcomer Roddy. That brings us to our last team. Overall ranking of 2nd. Gave him a B+ on his draft, and expected finish of 1st place in the conference would be the Turds. Gave him the 2nd best quarterback combo with Rodgers and Newton. Gave him the 2nd best running back combo, Chris Johnson, Derek McFadden, although that probably will be slipping a little bit because who knows when CJ, I hold out forever, will decide to come back and stop being a little bitch. Really starting to get annoyed by that ass clown. And gave him the 2nd best tight end in Vernon Davis. I'm pretty high on Vernon Davis. His big thing here is his receivers. They're very, very young. He's going to be starting Julio Jones and A.J. Green, both true rookies, coming in, and anchored by Dwayne Bowe, who I do think will actually have a pretty good year. I don't think last year was a fluke, and I think that Josh McDaniels is going to make that offense be incredibly explosive. So, very solid team. Just needs Chris Johnson to come back and clamp. He does have Ringer as a handcuff, though, so we'll see what he can do. And Mark Ingram, of course, as well. So he's got some depth at running back to absorb a little bit of that hit if he doesn't come back right away. And, of course, it's a very good team. Expect to finish at 1st in that conference. So I hope you enjoyed this little review of the Landry Conference. And I will likely have the Lombardi Conference out either tomorrow or on Friday. So good luck this year, guys. Should be fun.